Welcome back for another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. And this edition of Strengthening Oklahoma is brought to you by Pub W. Whether it is brunch, lunch, happy hour, or dinner, Pub W has it all. Visit pubw.com to find a location near you. Get a chance today to talk with junior defensive end Reggie Grimes. We all know that's where championships are won at the line of scrimmage on the defensive line. And we check in with Reggie here on game week as they're preparing to get ready for UTEp coming to Norman on Saturday. Reggie, great to have you, man. How you doing?
Great to be here, man. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm fired up for this season.
So are we. You co-sign know that, right? Like we all know the most important position group on a football team is a defensive line, right?
Absolutely. O-line, D-line, again, it all starts up front, right?
Yeah. See, you tried to set
I see
him
what
up.
You did there. You brought him in. You brought him in with
you
the
tried to disparage
okay.
lineman and Reggie. See, that's why I like Reggie. He's got
He's a team player.
Now, hey, how difficult was camp? I know we want to talk. You guys are in season mode now, but Dusty and I both been through it. And man, I assume, do you feel calloused for the season?
Yeah. Camp was a lot. Camp was definitely a learning curve with all of us as far as it's concerned, man, just because all the guys who were here last year, we were under a different regime, so camp was a little bit different. All the guys who transferred in, this was their first camp. It was everyone's first camp with this new coaching staff, so it was a lot. Learned a whole lot, played a whole lot. It was fun, but at the same time, it's still camp, so it was fun for a camp. I'll say that.
It's always fun to break camp and to actually start preparing and getting ready for games. And you guys treated last week just like a game week, right? I mean, all the way from practice schedule to even up until Saturday game time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The way we did it was we kind of went through the week. They gave us Monday off because it was the first day of school. They wanted us to just be students for a sec, just kind of get through your classes, get through everything. So, your schedule, figured how you manage that through football, just walk around, do all that stuff, right? So then Tuesday we came back. Tuesday we practiced pretty hard. Wednesday we practiced pretty hard. Thursday was more of a mental day, a focus day. Friday was our Boomer Bowl, is what they called it. We were in our jerseys and everything. It was just going through like how a Friday night would be just for the team. So we went to the hotel, walked through everything at the hotel. So where we eat, where we would meet, where our training room was, where our rooms were, where we would do our walk through, our run through, stuff like that. Then we would throw up as theater where we would be at, again, because we're going to watch a movie every Friday night, just as a team, just some time to relax and just be brothers for a sec. And then we went through, we did like a mock walk with champions kind of, which is pretty cool. And then we were on the game field, and we just kind of went through like situational kind of stuff. And yeah, it was really good. It was a really great experience. It's something that we all definitely needed. And Saturday we came back in. Came back in, had another walkthrough just to keep everybody fresh. And we watched some Nebraska football, and then we all left. So,
yeah, Nebraska coming up in a couple weeks. Things did not go well for the Cornhuskers over there in Ireland, Reg.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. It was again, just because it was an 11 a.m. We were already here, so we turned it on, and it was a decent game for a while, and then some decisions were made, and then it wasn't. So
you don't have to say it. We'll say it. That onside kick was stupid. Made no sense whatsoever. And I like Scott Frost, but come on, man. What are you doing? Not that we need to get it. By the way, one thing stuck out to me, Northwestern's O-line, whoa, they were moving people. And then I kind of thought about it. Could you imagine having to fly home from Ireland after losing a game like that? You want to talk about a miserable experience. That had to be awful.
Yeah, number one, like it's basically a bowl game at the beginning of the season, essentially is what it amounts to. Because again, it's a neutral site. Both teams are not where they are originally or where they usually would play. And I guess you would spend a week there. I don't know how that would work, just because I never thought I would be playing football in Ireland or anywhere else, for that matter, wasn't in the United States. So, but yeah, it would have to be something I couldn't imagine it. Just as far as I guess I know it would be tough, but I don't know how that would go over with this staff.
Fortunately, you guys get to stay in Norman week 1. Not going to Ireland. UTEp is coming to town, so that'll be fine. Miguel Chavis, I think that Sooner fans are falling in love with your position coach. All the things that he posts, the energy he has. I mean, he's an awesome first year coach. It's crazy because I've been around him quite a bit, and I can't believe this is his first time to have a room. What's he been like from your perspective? What have you appreciated or enjoyed about Coach Chavis?
Oh yeah, man. Both him and Coach Bates, they do an amazing job with us, making sure we know, like they have our backs. They know, make sure we know all the plays. Sometimes we install plays on the bus ride over to the rugby fields. That happened during camp. So he has all our backs. They both do, and they're basically two sides of the same coin. Coach Chave is more outgoing, more fun, a laugh, joke at you. And Coach Bates is more laid back and chill, but he's also still really, really funny. And you just put both of them together, and you have something special there with those two. So I love them both to death. Would do anything for them, and I really just can't wait to see where the season takes all of us.
So something you just said interests me. How much collaboration is there between your guys' defensive end room and the defensive tackle rooms, right? Defensive tackles room, right? Because you've got Coach Chavis, who is y'all's position coach. Then you've got Coach Bates, who's running the interior guys. How much do you guys work together? How much meeting time do you have with those guys? How's that all that work?
So we do have separate meeting rooms, but it's separated by like one of those walls that come apart. So we are literally right next to each other. And every day, it seems like Coach Chavis will shout out to Coach Bates, and they'll have a conversation just about play we're doing, scheme wise, stuff like that. So we are a really, really close group, just all together as one front. And I think that's really important. Like we walk through together, we do almost everything together. Now there are some stuff specifically that we need more than DTs and stuff like that. Just differences there, just based off position. But as far as the defensive front's concerned, we are together a lot.
I love that. That's great because, man, you work together as a unit, right? I mean, different positions, techniques, and some things are a little bit different, but you work together, especially when you're talking pass rush games and what you guys want to do as a front, as a whole. So I love that collaboration. Let's talk specifically about the defensive ends room. How's that group? What's the competition been like? Just give us the kind of the skinny on the way camp went and the way kind of things are shaking out inside that room.
Oh man, we have a lot of guys who can play in the defensive end room, and just not revealing anything. We have a lot of guys who could legitimately start anywhere in the country. So the competition has been great. I've loved it. There's been highs and lows for everybody in the room, but we all complement each other really, really well. And I really just can't wait to see where this season takes just our room in general, just because we have a first year coach in Coach Chavis, but he treats it like he's been coaching for 20. We have, again, all of our defensive ends who can play. So I can't wait to see not only what plays I make, but what plays that we make as a room, and just celebrate each other.
Now, I heard Coach Venables say something interesting about you. He said he was, I believe the quote was, trying to take you to another place right now. And I'm just wondering what that process has been like, because if you are, if you're one of the guys that BV is really focusing on, he's doing it for a reason, because that means he sees something in you, but all that attention brings a lot of criticism and a lot of, let's go with coaching from the head man. So how has that been?
Well, there's definitely been our ups and downs, just throughout camp and practice and everything. He's challenged me a few different times, and it's up to me to either rise to the occasion or not. So it's definitely been a challenging thing, but I know it comes from a place of love. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just that he wouldn't do that to not just me and like a bunch of other guys. He wouldn't do that to anyone if he didn't see what we could be, as far as just players and people. So It's been a lot, but it's also been rewarding in some sense.
That's awesome, man. And your perspective on that is perfect, because if he wasn't challenging you, that's when you should worry, right? Because he's only doing that with guys because he knows that ceiling is very, very high, and you're going to have a great chance to achieve that. So that's a really good thing. And I love your outlook and understanding of that. Inside the room, another guy that some of your staff has mentioned quite a bit, and Coach Venables has, R. Mason Thomas. Tell us, just give us a little sneak peek of what this true freshman, I believe out of, is it Tampa? Is that where he's from? He's from Florida, I believe, right? Twitchy, get off. I heard the kid can really go. What does R. Mason Thomas bring to the table?
Mace is fast, man. Mace is a hell of a player. Always comes to work with the right mindset. Again, he's a good kid. First off, he literally just turned 18 a few days ago. So, but he's a good kid, and I really can't wait to see what he does this year. Just for the opportunity that he'll be given. But yeah, man, Mace is a good player. Mace can go.
Now, I'm interested in the conversations, you and guys like Ethan, guys like Stripling, guys that have been around, right? The scheme change, a lot less slanting, more one-on-one opportunities, more, hey, just dominate the guy in front of you situations. How does that change? How does that change your guys' attitude as a group? Right. How do you think that has affected your guys' approach, and how much are you liking it?
Well, we've all had to change our mindset, because again, the last coaching staff, it was a lot more slanting, moving, stunts and games and whatnot, which is good if that's what you're trying to do. However, it didn't leave a lot of opportunity for one-on-ones. Just again, going man on man. So now it's more of, okay, so they trust us to rush the passer. So win. We're not going to win every rep. That's unrealistic, but you don't have to be blocked is the main thing. So we can be players. It frees us up a lot to do our job and help the defense, obviously, but make plays as well.
Love that. Absolutely. You're up to probably 70, 75, I'm guessing. I mean, and it looks good, but you're getting up to that 3 technique weight. I mean, I'm just saying, any chance that we see maybe in like a sub package, could you slide down and maybe give a guard some trouble? You mess around with that at all?
Maybe. Again, we have obviously stuff that we haven't even gotten to yet that could have required that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's a part of it. I'm not a defensive end. I'm a defensive lineman. We all are. Okay, so at the end of the day, we can play every position. So I wouldn't be opposed to it at all if that were to ever happen.
Love it.
Now, I'm not saying this to make it sound like you weren't this way last year, but just being around you quite a bit last year, man, you just sound more at ease this season, right? You sound more confident. Is that a product of your play on the field, the coaching staff? Is it everything together? Because you kind of sound like a different guy now, man. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I think it's the culmination of all of the above. We have this amazing coach who's been the gold standard for defense forever, it seems like, who's our head guy, which means he's a defensive-minded head coach as opposed to an offensive-minded head coach. Defensive-minded head coach, his personal touch is everywhere. Okay, he can coach every single position on the field. He like during Indy, he walks all around and makes sure, like, if he sees something that isn't right, he'll stop the drill and he'll come correct it himself. Okay, so we have a defensive-minded head coach. We have amazing position coaches. We have the best D staff in the country. Then we got the guys that we have who every one of our guys could legitimately start anywhere else in the country, but we're all here. Okay, so it's the guys, and then it's just a matter of like scheme, guys, our coaches, and just the relationship we've all built with each other. is a really special thing. So I think I attribute that to everything at once.
I love that, man. That's very well said. You're feeling good, you're looking good, and we're prime for a great season. So with that, goals. What kind of personal goals do you have? I mean, maybe it's not even a sack total, tackle total. Maybe it's a certain area of your game that at the end of the year when you watch that tape, you say, I want it to look like this. But any personal goals? Here is where week one that you have for yourself this season?
As far as just personal goals, again, be more effective in the run game because I can pass rush. All of our guys can pass rush, but where we have struggled historically speaking is stopping the run. So just be more dominant, be more of a threat in the run game as opposed to just in the passing game. Is just number one. Obviously, team wise, you want to win the big one. But we can't win the big one without winning the opener. So just want to get better every week and just see what see what this year takes us.
Yeah.
You know what I love about that answer, Gabe, real quick? I mean, and I get it, man. Sacks are fun. That's where everybody looks at. It's like we just look at a sack sheet to see kind of rate a player. But like when you're invested at stopping the run, and for a defensive end to say that, it's like music to my ears, man. That is a beautiful thing. And that's where it all starts, though. Like you got to earn the right to get to third down, right? And you do that by playing first and second. So Reggie's in a good place, man. He's speaking to my heart there, talking about stopping the run game.
Yeah. I like it. Now, I know you guys have been able to watch a lot of UTEp up to this point, and
doing that in a few minutes, believe it or not.
Yeah. So you're going to watch a little more, and I'm sure you're going to dive into that game they had against North Texas. I'll tell you right now, a lot of big personnel. You're going to see they got into 12, they got into 21, they got into 22. So with saying that, one of your main goals is to stop the run, are you kind of excited that a team is going to get into some bigger personnel groupings and try to challenge you guys on the ground right off the jump here with UTEP?
Absolutely. I mean, they even have a 32 package that they put in for certain stuff, but absolutely. Again, this is a measuring stick to see how we react to their offensive line is really good. They are their head coach was the offensive line coach, offensive line and the quarterback. They're the strength of that team. Right. So just seeing how we stop the run, how we again stop the pass, how we react to all of that, attack and react to all of that is essential and important to see one where we are and two where we need to be. So really just can't wait. I'm fired up for this Saturday.
So are we, man. We can't wait as well. Now we'll do this every time we'll have you on. A couple of questions from our fantastic subscribers and our fans. So the fans' questions always brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Jim Slaymaker is what I'm going to say. Slaymaker. I'm just going to go with it, Jim. Jim S. What is the biggest difference for you on the football field coming into this year versus this time last year?
I mean, last year I didn't really have a voice. Just going into the season, I was a sophomore defensive end, but I was the two. It was more of I was a spell guy as opposed to just being one of the guys. It was IT and Nick, and then it was just everybody else as far as I was concerned. So I think one of the main differences for me is one, I've taken on more of a leadership role, and two, with that leadership role, it just comes a lot of confidence, a lot of knowing that you don't have to be perfect, but you have to be definitive in what you do as a leader and as a player, not just as a person. So I think it's definitely a big change, but it's something that I would say not only me, but the other guys in the room that have taken on more of a leadership role have as well. Just pretty good. So.
Yeah. And it's crazy how being one of the leaders just kind of changes how you operate day to day, right? Do you feel like I always felt like more of a sense of responsibility once I stepped into one of those roles? I don't know. It's weird to describe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely like, okay, well, when you were just another one of the guys on the players, like, all right, well, I may go to breakfast today. I may not. I may, get all my mandatory meals. I may go to class. Now No, we're always going to class. Why aren't you going to class? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go to breakfast? Why wouldn't you eat your meals? Right? Because you got younger guys in the room now who you got young guys in the room who look up to you, who look up to the older members of the group, and if they see you doing wrong, well, they'll think that that's right, and they'll just do it just because that's just the standard that the older guy has set. Well, same if it's a good thing. So, always being early for meetings, always going to class, always getting extra work in, stuff like that. That's the standard that we've now set as an older group. So you got younger guys like Mace and Cavante Henry and the rest of the group who have seen what we do and how we do it, and now that they just fall in line. So when the next group comes, when they're the older guys, they'll have to play, hey, this is how we do things, and they'll just kind of go from there. So it's really just a way of paying it forward.
Love it. He's all grown up now, Gabe.
He's an adult, man.
He's an adult now. That's right.
Sounds like a dad almost.
I know. It's like, dang, I'm gonna use that speech on my kids. That's incredible. That's perfect. Let's get one more in here. Steve T. He says, now that school has started, how difficult is it to balance everything with football?
Yeah. Okay. So it actually is a very hard thing. Let's talk about it. Just being a student athlete. You have your academic obligations, obviously, and if your academic obligations aren't met, then your athletic obligations don't even come into the picture. So when it comes to just being a student at Oklahoma, little classes are tough. We're a really great school. So it's more of you gotta find time to do your homework. You gotta find time to study. You have to find time to put the extra work in order to be that 3.0, 4.0 student that we all strive to be. And then just the football aspect of it, well, guess what? We still have football. You still have your athletic. So it's just you got to study your film. You got to watch your practices. You got to get extra working with the guys. You got to be a leader. You have to do all this stuff, and then you're just putting all that together. Being a student athlete, it's a lot. It really is. You have to, like, this was our first week of school, and I struggled at first just finding time to do everything, and realized that time is the biggest thing that you sacrifice when you are a student athlete. And that's just not even in college, that's just in general. Just your time is very, very valuable, but at the same time it's very, very limited with not only what you have to do, but your free time as well. So it's two different spectrums on just being a normal student and being a student athlete. Those are two very different things. So it's definitely a tough thing to do, but towards the end of the week, I more or less got into a different schedule and mastered it, and now we're good. So
love that. I mean, that's great. It is time consuming to say the least. And I like the fact that you want to be great, not just on the field, but in the classroom as well. I know Gabe and I'm a firm believer, man, work toward that degree and pour your heart and soul into everything that you do, including, your classes and your academics. So love to hear that's your mindset too, man. Well, just a few more days away and we get a chance to actually kick it off. I know you said you're fired up, you're excited. So are we. And we're fired up and excited to have you as a part of what we're doing here at Strengthening Oklahoma. Stay healthy, best of success, best of luck, and have great success on the field. And we'll talk to you again next month, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks to Reggie for joining us. And now it's time for our man Gabe and I to break it down. All right, Gabe, let's break it down. And we're fired up and excited. We've got some great partners that are part of this thing, and we got a new one on board. That's the Oklahoma Proton Center. So this breakdown, along with everyone of Gabe and mine's breakdown, will be brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. We appreciate them for being on board here. Now, for Reggie Grimes, first of all, wow. I mean, golly, enjoy talking to that young man. He's grown up a lot, dude. You could really tell throughout that interview. And I've had not a lot of interaction with him. You've probably had more the last couple of years than me, but I thought you hit the nail on the head. His confidence has changed, the leadership aspect, just how well-spoken he is. I'm very optimistic about the 2022 season for Reggie Grimes.
So am I. And that kind of leads to an interesting conversation when it comes to what to expect from him from a production standpoint. Because I mean, the truth is he just hasn't been an overly productive player up to this point in his career.
Sure.
But with everything he just talked about, I know that some people may think that, it's all about just getting bigger, faster, and stronger and, getting better technique. And that's how you become more productive. These guys are still human beings, man. And just the way he's talking about how good everything is going with the new staff, that stuff matters when it comes to players performing well. I really believe that everything matters. It all goes into you developing the confidence and the attitude to go on the field and make plays. And just hearing him talk about it, I feel like, we're all searching for, hey, who could the breakout player be on defense? And just hearing him talk about it. And the guy's big as a house. Also,
Yes.
that helps. But that attitude and demeanor that he's got now, man, it really makes me wonder if he's going to be that breakout player for this defense.
He very easily could be. Again, you mentioned his size. He's 6'4", 273 right now. He was not that big previously, but he's moved.
And I'll tell you real quick that he can't say it, but there's no way they don't have packages where he's playing 3 technique. He's massive.
Of course he's going to. I mean, again, he's, I don't want to tell him this, but to me, it's a good thing. Being a 3 technique, there's no shame in that. Those guys get paid a lot of money, but if he keeps putting on that weight, he's going to eat himself down there a little bit more inside. But I do think that they'll definitely have something in there for him. He's a problem for a guard because he's still got that athleticism. He's got a little bit of wiggle to him. And now he's got that size and that strength. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate the fact that his goal was not, he had 2 sacks last year. He could have easily said, I want to get to the quarterback more effectively. I want to have 7 sacks this year, whatever it may be. He just said, I want to be better against the run. Wow. When do you ever hear defensive ends say that? You typically don't. It's always about getting to the quarterback. But to me, that is very important. And that does need to be a central focus, pad leverage. He's got that size. He's got that strength, being able to really set a good firm edge on defensive ends. Now not having to always slant, utilizing your technique, all that work you put in, and be able to impose your will, change the line of scrimmage. I think it's massive. And like you kind of said to him, getting UTEp right out of the chute, it will be a great opportunity to see, okay, have I made these improvements? I feel like I'm getting better in this regard, but week number 1, he's going to have a real opportunity to prove that he is going to be an improved player against a team that runs the football, because that's exactly what UTEP is going to attempt to do in Norman on Saturday.
Yeah, you're going to get multiple tight end sets. You're going to get tight end and fullback, 2 tight ends and a fullback. They're going to get in those sets, and they're going to challenge Oklahoma's defense physically. And you heard Reggie talk about their offensive line. And I've talked to some people about it in NFL scouting departments. UTEP's right tackle, Jeremiah Byers, he is a guy that has late round potential in the NFL draft, right? Guy that's 6'4", 330 pounds, that some teams have their eyes on. So when Reggie's playing over that, he's going to be playing against a quality player. So that's why, you heard him talk about how good their offensive line is. Byers in particular, the kid can play. So that is, I'm not going to make it sound like UTEP is just some juggernaut coming to Norman. They're not.
Right.
But it is going to be a good test of this new mentality of physicality within the program.
Sure.
Right. That is what Dimmel has built that program on. It's, hey, we're tougher than the team we're playing against. And they're going to try to bring that attitude to Norman, and they're going to see what OU, especially that defensive line, is made of. I expect Reggie Grimes and that defensive line, that front 7 in general, to dominate this football game.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Should.
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like. But as far as his goal being stopping the run, man, I love it, because I'm a firm believer. If you can make a team one-dimensional, you can play some damn good defense. And playing good defense, it all starts with having some bad dudes up front.
Yep.
And don't be fooled by Reggie's demeanor. The guy, he sounds like a professor almost, right? With the way he talks. He is going to be unleashed in this scheme. And I cannot wait to watch it.
So I've got Clemson, Georgia Tech in my opener on Labor Day. And I was going back, I was looking at I did Clemson's bowl game against Iowa State. And I was looking back at my game board, and I had some stats that I put on there. And since 2012, Clemson's defenses, I believe that's when Coach Venables left and went there. Since 2012, they've led college football in tackles for loss. Number one in the country. No one better. And that was what we always hung our hat on as well. Whenever I played Oklahoma, I mean, I don't know if we led the country, but we were always up there. A lot. I mean, we had, I want to say my junior year, I had like 17 TFLs. Dan Cody had like 18. I think Teddy had 19. We had a race all year to see who was going to have the most. But that was just like, that's what. And so I say that because you mentioned he's going to be unleashed. It's what's going to happen. These guys are going to be put in position to make plays. It's what Coach Venables demands. If you play in his front seven and you're not playing in the other side of the football, he's going to find somebody that will. Like, that's what they do. It's the aggressive nature of it. And it's also just, allowing guys to make plays, putting them in position to succeed. And Reggie's going to get that opportunity. So I think from a tackles for loss standpoint, and you combine, a TFL with sacks to get your total TFLs at the end of the year, they are included in college football. I expect double-digit TFLs from Reggie Grimes this season. That's a goal, or that's a bar that I'll throw out there. I think he's got double-digit total TFLs combining sacks with just tackling, running back, receiver, whatever it may be, behind the line of scrimmage. So I think that that's attainable. And, I think that, for both him and Ethan, that should be, if I were them, not that I would have to tell it to you or I, but I would expect a combination of somewhere in the 20 tackles for loss neighborhood between those two guys collectively, because I think you and I both agree, and it's not just because, they're with us here at Strengthening Oklahoma, which we love that they are. Those two got to be the bell cows for me consistently. Now, Marcus Stripling can come in and help out. We mentioned R. Mason Thomas. There's going to be some other guys, Jonah in from Hawaii. But I think that for this defense to really be humming, for the front seven to be what it needs to be, Reggie Grimes and Ethan Downs, they got to be your bell cows. They got to be the fixtures at defensive end for this defense, in my opinion.
If this defense wants to be a physical unit that sets the tone along the line of scrimmage, you need your biggest, strongest dudes playing at a high level.
Yep.
And that's I'm not saying anything against Stripling or R. Mason Thomas, but those guys are light, right? Reggie Grimes is in the 270s. Ethan Downs is getting close to 270. Like, you need those big, strong dudes setting the tone. So I'm with you. That's been an issue for this defense, right? And we can talk about all the slanting and running around blocks they did, but they didn't have a ton of size, talented size up front, controlling the line of scrimmage. They've got some of those guys now, some of those body types at the defensive end position with how Downs and Grimes have developed over these last couple of years. Now it's time for them to use everything they've been working on and to go and control people. So I can't wait to watch it, man, because it's the level of play at the edge position. I think it dictates a lot when it comes to the type of defense you can be. And so I'm very curious, but I love where Grimes is at mentally. Right. And I think that's going to be a big reason why he has a much more productive season in 22.
Confidence is key, man. My first 2 years, I was still trying to figure it out. It was the spring after my sophomore year going into my junior year where it's like light bulb kind of went off. His confidence started growing. and it helped allow me to take my game to a whole new level. And we'll see if that happens for Reggie, but it kind of feels like he is at least mentally in that kind of place, and hopefully it pays real dividends on the field coming up on Saturday. You know what I really want to see from him and Ethan? I want to see them when they put those tight ends on them. I want them to remind Dana Dimmel and other staffs, don't try to block me with a tight end. I want to see them in a 6 technique, jack up a tight end, and just throw them out the club and get them out of the way. That's what I want to see. Big, strong defensive ends ragdolling tight ends, because that's what should happen.
Yes. Shock and shed.
Shock and shed. Absolutely. 100%. We can't wait. It's getting here very, very soon. And we'll see exactly the type of game in week 1 in the season Reggie Grimes is able to come up with. Thanks again to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. And you know, I'm going to talk to you, because we can't do this without our great subscribers. Thank you guys so much for continuing to subscribe. The subscribers continue to go up. We appreciate all the interaction that you guys have with us and these players, the team that we have at Strengthening Oklahoma. Again, y'all's contribution, y'all's piece of this is invaluable to them. So we appreciate you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.